It's November the 5th, 2025, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off right and introduce the players. Hey, I am Jarazar, a WoW esports aficionado.
Hey guys, it's Big Moran. I am a rank 1 RP PvPer.
A what?
Rank 1 RP PvPer.
Rank 1? Okay, where's the ladder for this one? I gotta find it.
Trust me, you don't want to see that ladder. It's there's some dark things on that ladder.
Rank 1 in your head, rank 1 in Goldshire,
Yes, all of the above.
I'm gonna stop asking questions. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. This is horrible. Unfortunately, Jake's not here. I don't know where he is, but hopefully everything is well and he didn't get gobbled up by the by some sort of monster or something crossing the London streets. But I'm sure everything is fine, and we will hear from him in time. I don't know. We'll see. But in the meantime, it's just us, me and Big Moran, holding down the fort of PvP podcasts. We are the best and the worst PvP podcast out there all at the same time. Rank 1, both sides. But I think right before we get into the actual show, I want to make sure everybody is aware. So Blizzard was so gracious and gave us a epic midnight code. This is an announcement to the beta, which is going live on the 11th of November in North America. I believe I'm not sure if it's the 11th as well for EU. Maybe it's the 12th. It's usually with resets, right? So that said, we're holding the giveaway over on our Discord. So we'll drop the code for that actually into our chat here on Twitch. So you can find it on Twitch. So if you're watching this on the VOD, otherwise go over to the bonusroll.gg website. Up in the top right, there's community. That'll take us to the Discord. You'll find our show channel there. And there's a thread where we're asking everybody to make a comment about what they'd like to see changed in World of Warcraft. And yeah, we're going to draw a name randomly from that on the evening of the 10th. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the plan. So make sure you go over there, get your name, type your thoughts. Some people have typed one-liners. Some people have typed a whole paragraph or 3, and loving every comment on that. So head on over there, go and do it, and good luck. That's all I have to say. And if you also want, I believe our friends over at SkillCap, they also got a code as well, right, Big? You guys are doing it on Twitch on Twitter, right? Yes,
on Twitter. There's a post at the SkillCap Twitter, which is just SkillCapped, and all you need to do is follow, like, and retweet, and you'll be automatically entered. And I believe I set the drawing to November 11th, but you can see all the details in the post.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's two that we know of. And then if you always want, go to any of your social places and check out, if you do a hashtag wow_partner, you should find anybody else that is also doing the same thing. So if you've been holding off on pre-purchasing, or you just weren't sure, or if you just didn't have the bucks because you had other priorities in life that have taken away your cash, here's your chance. So go and do the things. Hopefully you win. Good luck to everybody out there. And in the meantime, though, aside from hawking our souls for codes and trying to get rank 1 RP PvP, what else have you been up to, buddy?
I've been playing Fire Mage lately in Solo Shuffle and a little bit of Arena, I think. I also am continuously on my Rogue grind for 2400. One day I will get it, but I took a little break and we've been playing Fire Mage, which I've been really enjoying.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's fun.
It slaps, doesn't it?
It does, and it's nice because you don't really need to hard cast any damage. Like that's the best part about playing fire. I mean, occasionally you do, but like I'd say 95% of the time you're hitting some instant cast ability. But the consequence of playing Fire Mage is it is one of those carpal tunnel specs. Like it's very spammy, and
Yes.
so. But
I,
yeah, I'm having a blast playing Fire Mage.
are you doing it with the one button, or are you actually trying to do like actual rotation?
No, I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm doing my actual rotation. I
Okay.
think the one button probably wouldn't work too well in Arena because I think it would prioritize Flame Strike over Pyroblast in some situations, which is not
Probably.
good.
Yeah. Probably.
So
Yeah, because it sees the two players, so it says AOE instead of single target, right?
yes, so that
Yeah.
would not be good.
Yeah. Huh. That's funny. So on my Demon Hunter, when I've been deciding I want to try to queue up, I just do the one button macro and I'm just hammering it, and it's totally messing up. I know it, but it still feels fun to just do that, and I'm not having to think about some rotation or actually a prioritization because there's no such thing as a rotation anymore. But yeah. All right. Well, I mean, yeah, Fire Mage definitely fun. I tried it. When did I do? Oh yeah, I was leveling an alt, and I decided I dusted off an old mage and decided I was going to do Fire Mage as well, and that was fun.
Yeah, I recommend if it. I know it's like Mage is typically seen as kind of like a harder spec to or harder class to play, but I think Fire Mage is actually pretty approachable.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get the again, it's like it's very spammy, but once
Yeah.
you kind of get the rhythm down, it's a lot of fun. And of course, you can summon a bird, and sometimes that bird will just randomly one shot people as the Sun Fury spec.
Yes.
That's really fun when that happens. You just press your combustion, you're doing a lot of damage, and randomly your bird will just do a lot of damage. It's complete RNG. It can cast like one of four spells, and if you get the right one, it's just a one shot. So
It's not the glass cannon. It's more like the glass craps table.
it's the a glass cannon with a like a pet that has a machine gun, and will protect you. That's what it is.
That's awesome. I love it. I felt with Fire Mage, I felt like it definitely felt organic. It felt like it's pretty easy to get to jump onto. I felt like there was still a lot of depth to it, trying to just get into the spec. As a leveling though, I felt like, and I think it's just because I'm haste starved, but I felt like there was like some clunkiness there where it's almost like it's designed to have like almost like a 20% haste or something just to like really make it flow nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
Do you agree?
you definitely you definitely need a haste as Fire Mage because your Fire Blast cooldown gets reduced by haste. And that is arguably your most important button.
Yeah.
For various reasons.
Well, any other tips about Fire Mage?
You know what? No other tips. Just do big damage.
Big damage.
Wait, I have something I want to talk about.
Okay.
Voidweaver was the only spec that got nerfed this week.
I know.
Which is fairly interesting. Do you wanna discuss this really quick?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The reason I say it's interesting is because I think there are a lot of potential specs that could have gotten buffed or nerfed.
Yeah.
And it was kind of unusual. They just chose one and just nerfed it a little bit. Maybe they don't want to do any major tuning before the AWC Gauntlet and Finals next week. But don't you find it a little bit strange they only tuned one thing and then I don't know.
Yep.
I had my hot take that I didn't think. I mean, Voidweaver is obviously really strong, but I don't think it was like super crazy oppressive. It definitely needed a nerf, but I don't think it was the only thing that needed a nerf this season.
No, I think there's a number of specs that are clearly on the if you can even define S tier as having like a upper and a lower side, there's some specs that are like well at the higher side of S plus, right? And so
Yeah.
Understanding Void Weaver, I think the problem with Void Weaver was case point, they said that the nerfs that they did was to tone down some of the bonuses they got to speed the casting speed, right?
Right.
It was the Trinity, which, I mean, when somebody can cast something super fast, we ran into that Destruction Warlocks at one point there, that, with the end of BFA, like the haste they had on casting Chaos Bolts was so insane. There's no way you could kick it. Like it was if you kicked somebody, it was random that you just happened to get it at the right time, right? I think that's the same thing. They were kind of running into discs. It was just hard to counter them. And if that said, I did see a few people say how easy it was to counter like all the YOLOs, because yes, they could cast and yes, they could do things. But if you hard swapped to a person and they were just YOLO trying Void Weaver, they usually just crumpled because they couldn't react properly, right? So I feel like there was a lot of counterability. And I'm a little surprised there wasn't some tweaks also. Like Marksman is still fairly oppressive.
Oh yeah. I queued some solo shuffle yesterday on my sub rogue, and the first 2 games in a row, I died like 50% to 0 in like 0.2 seconds, just kind of randomly too. Like maybe there was something I could have done to survive, but dying to a Mark Center like that never feels fun. It's just
no.
And you just get chunked.
Yeah. Well, people have to die, right? Like that's part of the game. I think it just sucks when there's no way that you can feel like you could have hard countered. You could have countered that. There's nothing you could have done. There's nothing your teammates could have done. Like how does anybody on the team respond to a 50 to 0 from a random shot, right?
And sometimes they do that to your entire team. If you're stacked up at the beginning of the game and they put their volley down, you're all in there. Like everyone's just dead. It's a very problematic spec.
It is, and if you also like get into some other things like in BGs and that the range they have is so beyond anything else that they can just sit. They're sitting in Africa, nuking you down from so far that you can't even. You're to 50% health just trying to get close enough to even do anything, and then you're dead anyways. So so that one I do feel I feel like Marksman should have gotten a little bit of a brush over, not completely a free pass. I haven't heard a lot of people complain about Ret lately, and I'm not sure if that's just because everybody switched over to Ret, but looking at some of the graphs, Ret is still pretty high up there in average CR and population wise, right? So
yes.
I feel like that one probably should have gotten a little bit of a tweak, but I think you're right, is that we're still in AWC MDI zone, and until that finishes up at the end of the month here, we're probably not going to see much more tweaks, especially with we have a bunch of people. There's a bunch of players out there that are practicing and trying to figure out how they're going to win, or at least not get knocked out of the gauntlet and then the AWC, right? So change something while they're trying to do that is not the nicest thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think I have to. I was so cheeky. I remember when I saw the buffs, or the not the buffs, the hot fixes, and I actually pinged Ian Hazakosis on Twitter and said, "Better late than never, eh?"
Yes.
Hopefully he doesn't mute me for
I
that.
wonder after the AWC if we're going to see any more tuning, because supposedly the pre-patch for Midnight is on January 27th. That's kind of the speculative date because of, some leaked calendar date on the alpha.
Yep.
So potentially, January 27th could be the season end, which means after the AWC, we're still going to have, what is that, like a month, like 2 months basically of the season?
Yeah.
There's definitely some time to do some tuning inside there. I mean, I know, right? They're probably busy with
Oh,
midnight stuff,
they're
but
totally busy with Midnight and Remix.
yeah,
I'm so okay. So tinfoil hat. We might see a tuning pass early December. Um, Definitely, you're going to see the slowdown. The news cycle and everything slows down because Christmas. Everybody's going to be busy, either working or spending time with family over the holiday period there in North America, and then yes, I heard about the 27th of January. That said, Legion Remix I thought was supposed to be going to February, so I kind of felt weird that we'd be doing pre-patch and all that stuff while Remix was still happening. I thought there'd be that'd be the swap over period. That said, yeah, I would not be surprised if we see some more tuning early December, but I would be surprised if we see anything really in January. So
yeah.
oh,
Well,
Remix has 74 days left, so I don't know.
74 days.
Yeah, I don't know what
That's
that works
what,
out on the calendar, but yeah,
interesting.
that's 2.5 months.
Well, that would be around January 27th.
Would it?
So
Oh,
I
okay,
think
there you
so.
go. Okay,
Well,
yeah.
we'll have
Okay,
to
so
wait and see.
all right, so my math is off, and yes, okay. So just space is going to be January 27th. Last 3 weeks are going to be, yeah. There's no way they're going to tweak last 3 weeks of season for PvP because that's just going to piss everybody else off that's trying to push for ladder, right?
Right.
They're going to feel robbed if they're trying for like rank 1 or something like that, and they lose it because they got nerfed. Like, I can only imagine what that would do to people that are hardcore rank pushers. We'll see. Anyway, I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe we'll see something in the next week or two. Maybe we'll see something in January, but yeah, not holding my breath. Anyway, but so yes, Void Weaver got a little bit of a nerf. I haven't heard anything about how effective it was though. Like, have you heard anything?
I heard that it's still pretty good.
Okay.
The thing with Void Weaver is, at least in 3v3, it kind of needs a very specific comp in order to work.
Mm-hmm.
In Solo Shuffle, I think it has a bit more freedom, because people are playing a little bit less organized, and so you kind of can blast damage easier. But I don't know. My opinion on Void Weaver is I don't really notice it that much in Solo Shuffle, to be honest. Like when I'm playing my DPS, like I've been playing Mage, been playing Rogue. Maybe it's just, those are just two good classes for dealing with Void Weaver. But I never felt like the Void Weaver was a major player in any sort of lobby I had. Because I've played long enough to feel like when a healer is like really strong and really oppressive and really hard to deal with, but I don't really get that vibe with Void Weaver. I'm sure it's really strong, and the thing with Disc Priest is it's always the most popular healer regardless of tuning. It's just a popular spec. So I think what tends to happen in this game is people play against something that's really popular and they just kind of automatically assume it's really overpowered, and they don't like playing against something all the time. I think we've seen this in the past with Ret Paladins. I'm not saying Ret Paladins aren't strong, but you know what I mean. It's like it's a very popular spec. Yep. People are going to be playing against it all the time. They're just going to sort of passively think, "Oh, this is broken," because I'm playing against it all the time. And it's on the flip side, there are specs that you don't play against all the time that are really, really good, like Survival Hunter. Arguably depending on who you ask, it's arguably the best hunter spec, and potentially you could make an argument that it's the best melee in the game. So, but you don't play it against it very often. It's not that common.
But to really excel with Survival Hunter, your skill cap, the skill cap, sorry, the skill ceiling is actually pretty high, right? And the skill floor is actually pretty high, unlike Arms Warrior, where you can pick it up and kind of just face roll and you'll probably top the damage meter.
Yeah, right? I would even argue that the skill ceiling for Disc Priests is pretty high. Now the skill floor is
Yes.
arguably a bit low because
Yes.
you can kind of just play like a DPS. But as you mentioned, these disc priests who are playing who have been playing Void Weaver for the first time are getting in these situations where they get trained and then suddenly they just flop. So I think, yeah, right now with disc priest it's you kind of have this huge variance. And if a spec has a low skill floor and a high skill ceiling, that's kind of a recipe for something, being the target maybe of some nerfs. Because a lot of people are playing it, it's easy to pick up, and then you can just kind of destroy people with it at a high level.
And I think that's the true sign is if somebody just picked up Void Weaver and they're just pushing buttons, or have a bot pushing the buttons even, but if they're just pushing buttons and they're able to get to a higher than average rating in rated PvP, I think that's kind of a problem. And that's usually the stuff we always joke about. Well, the community, we always joke about is like, the two button spec, right? Havoc used to have that same problem where it was overpowered or so powered because it was a hero spec, and they're just doing a ton of DPS, but not really. There wasn't a lot of complexity in the buttons that they were having to push.
Right.
I think Mage, you could argue, has the same thing. It does have some of the nuances with knowing when to poly and whatnot, but then then it comes to the joke of the RMP with the 1, 2, 3 go, right? So I don't know. I think the other part, I think you're right, is that with Disc as Void Weaver, there is the consideration that it has a very select comp that it really works with. In Shuffle, it's a bit better because you said people are less organized. I feel like if anything though, on the melee side, and just want to tweak on that one more bit, Unholy DK looks like it's kind of flying under the radar right now. I think it's just because people aren't playing it as much. But that thing slaps pretty hard too.
Yeah, DK is a tricky class to balance. I think because a lot of its mechanics are designed with like cleave damage in mind.
Yeah.
And as we've seen in the Mythic Plus season so far, I mean, Frosty DK was doing extremely well in Mythic Plus, and even Unholy DK was not that far off from Frost. I mean, it's, in any sort of environment where it can do damage to multiple players at the same time, it's going to be pretty good. And so it's definitely one of those specs that kind of can be very oppressive in the right environment. And yeah, probably hard to tune in that sense, because like I would argue that in 2v2, Unholy DK is not that great. I mean, it's good, it's definitely solid, but there are definitely much better DPS options in 2v2. And again, DK is really, really strong. It just kind of needs very specific environments to play off its strengths. And I mean, one of the things with DK that we saw in the tournament was that it was kind of one of those it was a part of the counter pick into Void Weaver Disc. We saw Asa Rogue DK come out to counter Void Weaver Disc, and I believe DHDK was another comp that people were playing. Yep. So it's really good at harassing one target and locking something down and getting assistance with that. 100%. So it fills this really, really important niche.
Yeah. Well, and then also it's anti-caster, right? So when you have a spec that is healing off of DPS and you're countering that DPS, you're essentially hurting it's not healing. So am I wrong in that?
I DK is a bit weird because it does have a lot of anti-cast mechanics, but it can still get bullied a little bit, like by mages, for instance. Sure. I mean, mages are kind of an anti-melee spec anyway, but yeah, DK is definitely good at slowing the game down against casters, which is, I think, exceptionally important in like a tournament setting. And again, it's like really good at harassing things. And it's people complain that DK is like, oh, they're too squishy, but I think they're not as squishy as people make them out to be. I mean, I think they are relatively tanky, at least until like deep dampening, like their defensives kind of get affected by dampening, but until then in the early game, I mean they're pretty durable if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
A lot of defensives they can cycle through, pretty good self-healing. So yeah, DKs are definitely strong.
Oh yeah, they are. It's annoyingly so, I'd say. And so I think my question is, would they even see any nerfs or anything? I don't know. I think maybe because they're not popular enough to be considered that much of a threat to the viability of the ladder. But yeah, I think yeah, DKs are not tanky into hunters at any point of the game. Well, yes, but that's because hunters. I don't think any of the DK's damage mitigation counts against the hunter stuff, right? I think the hunters can just cut through that, unlike an AMS or an AMZ will completely counter a Void Weaver's penance.
But to be fair, like I don't know if anything is like tanky into hunters, like especially survival hunters.
Well, yeah, and we were just talking about that. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Again, hunters do need a nerf. So rolling back, you're with your fire mage and that you're just doing solo shuffle. You're not trying to find any players to play with, or what are the queues like?
What's interesting? It's funny when I see people complain about queue times for DPS and shuffle, because to me that indicates like one of three things: either you're playing a flavor of the month spec, like super popular spec like Rep Paladin, because Blizzard tries to not match you against other players with the same spec as you in solo shuffle. So if you have long queue times, one reason is because you're playing a very popular spec. The other reason is you're very high rated, or on the flip side, the third reason is you're very low rated. So if you have some combination of the above, obviously you can't be high rated and low rated, but if you're playing at high ratings or low ratings as a popular spec, you're going to have long queue times.
Okay.
When I queue rogue or fire mage, my queue times are like 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, sometimes they're instant.
Yeah.
They're definitely not bad.
What's the bracket around that you're like? What's the like, were you at 2K plus or minus some, or are you at like 1800 plus or minus?
I think I'm around 2.2 on fire mage right now.
Wow.
Somewhere around there.
Well done. Yeah, so that's interesting because even last night I was just trying to find people to play Battlegrounds with. Like I just wanted to do some pre-made 5 people, and I was like nobody was on, even in my guilds or even on my my BNet friends list. There's like one person online that said, I was like, what the heck? Yeah. So I was just kind of wondering about that because mind you, that was Monday night. I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are pretty tired right now. I know the remix grind is kind of tearing people down a bit, and let's be honest, it's the lull of the season. It's that middle spot of the season. It's probably going to pick up by mid to end November as we start pushing into Christmas and that. But yeah, I don't know. I just like, and for funsies, I went looking, and so on the RBG ladder, LFG, there was 3 groups, and in the threes, I want to say there was a handful, but there wasn't nearly the list that I was expecting to see. So I was just kind of curious. Like, it just seems like there's less activity on the rated ladders this week in the past weeks than we've seen previously. And I was just wondering what your experience has been on that.
Yeah, I mean, I did queue a little bit of threes, actually. I was queuing on my rogue with Jax and Awaken. Jax was playing Fire Mage, Awaken was playing Disc Priest, I think.
Yeah.
That was obviously very fortunate to be playing with AWC players, but I mean, they're my friends, and we were playing alts. Yeah. But outside of that, I really haven't played any threes this like whole expansion. Because it is you have to put in a lot of effort just to find people to queue with, and I think right now we kind of have that perfect storm, as you mentioned. It's late into the expansion. It's during a time where there's Legion Remix. There's that Fellowship game that is out that people are playing.
Yeah.
Mid-season is kind of always a bit weird. People usually play at the beginning of the season and at the end of the season, but not middle of the season, because of the incentive. So it's kind of right now the perfect storm for inactivity, especially in 3v3, where it's, difficult enough to find partners.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel fun. And then I think random queues are actually pretty fast, at least just random BGs. I didn't bother queuing for Epic, only because I don't know, especially when it's really lull, a season lull right now. You just end up queuing into the Epic BG communities with their pre-mades, and those. I mean, if you get on the right side, it can be kind of fun, but it's not fun otherwise. Like nothing's worse than queuing up and the gate's opening and you only have like 20 out of 40 filled because some community decided that they weren't going to play, right? So, or worse. What? Sorry.
You need to get in contact with that. There's some evoker named Metz who queues random BGs. I don't know if he queue syncs. I don't know if he's one of those players, but whenever I queue with my RP guild, random BGs, we always queue into Metz. I think he's Horde. I don't know, but he has the highest honor level I've ever seen. He has over 4K honor level. So I think he just spams BGs all the time. Sure. And he plays a preservation evoker. So if you get him on a flag map, it's he can carry for sure. So yeah, you got to get in contact with the Mets or join the Divine Inquisition, profess your faith to the light, reject heretics, and you can queue with our guild.
I've actually been thinking about it. I was like looking at my character list. I was like, if I was to join, which one would actually fit, and which one would I use? And I'll be honest, it's been hard because I have a couple tunes. That would fit, but they're in friends guilds and guilds that I want to keep them in, so I don't want to move them. But yeah, it's thinking about that.
You should definitely. I'll say this, and until the podcast is finished, transfer to Moonguard. It's honestly the best PvP server by far. It's funny. There's like two characters I want to mention on Moonguard who are fairly interesting. There's a rogue named Slippin' Jimmy. That's like, I don't know if you've ever seen Better Call Saul, but that's a reference to Better Call Saul. So Slippin' Jimmy is an Alliance rogue, okay? But here's the plot twist. He ganks other Alliance in Stormwind. Now you might be thinking, how the hell is he ganking Alliance as an Alliance? Well, there's this like bug that I guess Blizzard has never fixed with the Legion Class Hall Rogue quest, where some part of that quest you become hostile to people in Stormwind, and so you can gank people on your own faction as a rogue, and that's what Slippin' Jimmy does. If you're ever caught with PvP on in Stormwind near the park, you better be careful because Slippin' Jimmy is going to be in the shadows. There's also this guy named Soulscape who streams I think like every day, who he does various ganking maneuvers throughout Stormwind, especially in the deep run tram. He plays Demon Hunter. He always comes loaded in with a bunch of world buffs. I personally think it's a little bit cheap, but he's like a raid boss on Moonguard, and you don't want to be caught in the tram with Soulscape in there.
Yeah,
but
that's
Moonguard's fun.
Moonguard does sound like a lot of fun, and I am tempted. Don't get me wrong. It's just, if I am, it's kind of figure out, got to figure out what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. Because if I'm going to join an RP guild on an RP server, I'm not going to do it half-assed. I'm definitely going to try to do it proper. So, but I'm sure there's other people out there, other listeners, and honestly, being part of a PvP guilds and like a true PvP community is very enticing. I think that's something that I've sorely been missing in this game. Every time every time I've turned around, it's always, yeah, we PvP, and I joined the guild, and it's like one person, and the rest of them all it's just a raid guild, right? So it's been hard. I haven't seen that for a long time, and I do miss it. So, well, geez, I think so. I guess maybe like for me, then I just need to actually try a bit more concerted and not just like ask my guild and then be like, well, nobody's online, quit. So I guess I could have probably just queued up in solo. It was like after that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch TV instead. So whatever. That said, I think there's two other things, or actually maybe just one other thing that I really want to talk about, and this is going to lead into some other stuff. BlizzCon 2026 got announced today. Next September, though, like I thought it was always like end October, early November. Now it's September.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe the convention center was booked for something else. Like maybe someone else took that spot, because there wasn't a BlizzCon last year. So maybe
it's true.
The Anaheim Convention Center was like, okay, Blizzard, you're not consistent anymore. We're gonna give that to someone else. But September is gonna be honestly maybe a bit hot in California, because usually it's every BlizzCon. I mean, Arizona suffers the same problem in these fall months where you can never dress properly. In the morning and the evening it'll be chilly. Then in the middle of the day it'll just be scorching hot. So September it might be pretty toasty in Anaheim. Generally California is a bit more temperate, but I feel like a boomer now complaining about the weather at BlizzCon, but that's what immediately came to mind. But yeah, I think tickets are on sale. What I think is kind of funny is, my God, these tickets keep on getting more and more expensive. Early bird special, $249. It's a little bit of a discount from the normal $289 apparently if you don't get the early bird special. Back in my day, BlizzCon tickets were like $200 maximum. That was a special dinner. That was the dinner with the devs and stuff. Like that. Well, yeah. What's that going to be now? It's going to be what like $500, $600 to do the charity dinner. Well, if you ever want to be jealous, go back and watch like the BlizzCon goodie bags from like 2012, 14, 13, 14. My goodness, they were giving away so much stuff in those goodie bags. And like, I think last time it was like a backpack. It's like, here's a backpack. I mean, it was a nice backpack, but
yeah, I used it. I still use it, actually. I was using that for my Hearthstone Innkeeper stuff. But I did like the Velcro patches. That was pretty cool. That was like this whole collector's thing. I think this one, they said, I saw somebody talk, is like a lunchbox or something like that.
A lunchbox.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard somewhere. Somebody found it. I don't know. I'm not even on the site. I'm not even bothering quite yet. But I did see the one thing I'm really excited for. So we got AWC and MDI LAN is going to happen at BlizzCon 2026. So that's going to be super exciting. We're actually going to have a real AWC, not an online one. Actually see if which one's better, NA or EU, not the best in the region. And I don't know if you saw, but they're also doing a classic tournament. Did you see that?
Oh no, I did not see that. Is that would that be for TBC, or what would that be for? Like
Warcraft
vanilla
3.
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah.
Oh. And here we're gonna have like a StarCraft tournament too. Let's get all the games while we're at it.
I'm pretty sure I saw Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft, Warcraft 3, and there's another one that's escaping me right now. But it's a whole classic tournament thing going on. So that's going to be
awesome.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really fun. And I want to say it's total hats off to the whole Warcraft 3 community. Ever since they redid it and put it back out, there's this whole community that built itself up and has been running tournaments for literally what's that, that's over 5 years now, right? That's like 8 years they've been running tournaments almost on the weekly. So kudos to them. Yeah, a lot of work and just so consistent. So I think that's huge recognition to see Warcraft 3 come back to to BlizzCon nonetheless, right? So I think that's really exciting. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it just because of cost, especially now that I don't live on the west coast of Canada anymore. So flights are a little bit more expensive these days, not going to lie.
Yeah.
And it's like 12 hours of travel instead of like 3. So I can't remember what the price was. It was like, I remember I did a price check for it once, and it was an obscene amount of money, and it was like over a day's worth of travel because there wasn't anything direct. It was like crap.
I think the absurd part of traveling these days is like Airbnb costs. Like, my goodness, those things are expensive. But, you know, in earlier BlizzCons, I would stay at Airbnbs, but then I realized that hotels are cheaper and it's kind of more convenient.
Yeah. Well, especially because in Irvine, there was that whole lockdown where they kicked a whole bunch of Airbnbs out of the center area, so it's only hotels. If you want an Airbnb, you have to have a car now, if I'm not mistaken, because it's a ways out.
Yeah, and then like Ubers are always really expensive in those areas. I mean, yeah, it's definitely an expensive trip.
Yeah. I remember I stayed. There was a little motor inn or whatever. It was just around the corner from the convention center, and it was a little pricey, but it was worth it. Like, just get up and that's where we met that one time. You came to the hotel lobby.
Oh there.
Yeah. Back in the day. Yeah. But I think otherwise, obviously they're going to stream it. I feel like, do you think they're going to do what they did before with the whole like pay to view, or do you think it's just going to be free stream again, like it's been in more recent years?
I mean, the tournaments are always free, right? But then the pre-show, I don't know. I think it'd be foolish if it wasn't free. I just, I can understand why they would charge for it, because they've maybe done that in the past, but my goodness, like, I don't know about you, but every time that BlizzCon happens, it feels like it revives the game a little bit. And I think the more eyes that are watching, the better for the community.
Well, even like, I don't know about you, but when I'm watching MDI or even AWC, I'm watching it and I just like, I start like, I got to get on. I want to play, but I can't play and watch at the same time. I have like this whole like, I don't know, this moment of decision making of do I stop watching and go and play because now it really makes me want to play, or do I just like get over that and just continue to watch it and play later if I have the energy. But watching people play, especially at such a high level and doing some really cool stuff, just gets me so hyped. So it does. I have
a quick BlizzCon story.
Sure.
That just came to mind. So you know how next expansion there's not going to be any weak auras in Arena. Swapsy was telling me that at BlizzCon 2016, which is the first one in Legion.
Yep.
Blizzard, I guess, cranked up the volume on sound effects in the convention hall, and they were super loud.
They did.
And there were two spells in particular that were very loud.
Yep.
The summon, the Felguard, the Fell Lord, summon Fell Lord, and then Vendetta for assassination rogues. And Swapsy said it was like having weak auras because someone would press the call Fell Lord and the whole stage would vibrate. It'd say whatever it says, like it has some sort of speech. It says behold or whatever it says, and then Vendetta was same thing. Like someone would press Vendetta and everyone would instantly know because like the whole stage would vibrate. So we might have like some version of weak auras actually play out at BlizzCon without any weak auras because the sound effects are going to be so crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought that was kind of funny.
That is. I remember it was the war banner from the Warrior. When they dropped the war banner, you would hear the same thing. You'd hear like the bass thump. It'd be like and it'd be like, it was almost like the Netflix start with the ta-dum, but it was boom. But yeah, that was super loud too. Like you were sitting there and you would hear exactly what you hear that, and then I'd immediately hear one of the casters, "Oh, there's War Banner." And it's like, Jesus.
You know, it would be so fun to play WoW. You know how like you play those like arcade games where you go in the little booths with like a gun and it's kind of like very immersive.
Yeah.
Imagine playing a WoW arena like that where it's like your desk is shaking a little bit, like you get kidney shot, like your chair moves. Like that'd be fun.
Get haptic feedback from the game in your chair. That'd be funny. Well, so actually, I want to talk about that quickly about add-ons. Venruki's been this has kind of been the thing that he's really been talking about is regardless of any add-ons, whether they keep or what they get rid of, especially with getting rid of with weak auras, what he's really been advocating for is that if they bring in an add-on pack similar to what I guess Mez has, where Mez has some sort of I guess it's really a weak aura, but it removes the distance on abilities. So regardless of where you are in the arena and where the opponent is, anything that's cast, the sound effect, it hits your ears as if they were right beside you, as if they were at zero distance.
Yeah.
And he's been really wanting or really advocating for that. I mean, sure, that sounds like kind of a neat idea. I'm a little against it because anytime they do something for instance PvP is rarely only for arena. And my God, I would not want to play a BG, Blitzer rated, or especially an epic. Oh my God. Hearing every single ability going off as if it was at zero distance. Like that'd be a bit much.
Yeah. It's just, certain sounds in this game are less telegraphed than others. Like, of course, Bloodlust is like the most telegraphed. Like, that's, you hear that.
Oh, yeah.
But then, like, a cooldown like Icy Veins, you probably don't hear that much.
Nope.
And same thing with defensives. Like, you can hear Ice Block. Ice Block has a distinct sound, but, other cooldowns maybe don't. Like I don't know what Icebound Fortitude sounds like, to be honest. So
I think it just sounds like paper crumpling almost, like because the freezing of blood or whatever.
Yeah. So
well, it's no different. Like feigned death is it's just a person screaming to their death. I don't know.
There definitely needs to be more audio clarity. And also visual clarity too, because I think this problem is going to be a little bit addressed in Midnight, but my God, there are so many trash buffs that players have, random things that, tiny little icons on your target frame, and it's like there might be 20 of them and only 2 of them really matter.
Yep.
And so they need to definitely, because we're not going to have big debuffs, and big debuffs solve that problem. Well, we don't know if we're going to not have big debuffs yet. I think that's one thing they could, keep in, as well as the interrupt tracker. I'm a big proponent of them keeping an interrupt tracker somehow.
I haven't seen anything about interrupt tracker. I could see a time or a space where there could be an add-on that allows you to change the size of icons on the nameplates. So like to modify whatever Blizzard already has implemented. In that case, then essentially that would create big debuffs. I did see just the other day, I randomly hopped on Alpha for something. And when I went into options, I saw that they have a DR tracker now in there.
Yeah, it's for, it only shows up on enemy arena frames, the Blizzard default arena frames. It doesn't appear, at least it previously did not appear on like Target or Focus. I think it's only in arena right now. One thing before we wrap up, I'm gonna go search for this, but there's this channel I've been following, or there's this guy I've been following. He's an add-on developer, and Blizzard has been giving all these add-on developers updates on what's going on in the background. And these videos are super useful to listen to because you can kind of understand the problems that these add-on developers are working with, and maybe where Blizzard is going with some of their design, because it definitely seems like their philosophy so far has been like, we're going to put the biggest possible band-aid on add-ons. Like we're gonna put the biggest possible restrictions, and we're gonna slowly lift some of those restrictions as we get feedback. And that this guy's channel has been really, really useful for keeping up with everything that Blizzard is doing with add-ons. I'll link it here in the chat.
Okay.
But yeah, and fun.
This isn't Mystical, is it?
It is, yeah. Mystical OS.
Yeah,
Wait,
he's the guy that does Deadly Boss mods.
Oh, okay, yeah. This guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's only been making an add-on for about 2 decades, but yeah, no, he's really awesome, and I love how I watched a couple of them as well, and he really lays it out in a sensical manner that helps the layman understand what some of these difficulties are, and really like what these add-on developers are like. I'm done. I can't anymore.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, like before we wrap up, like one thing add-ons couldn't even do is tell if a unit was dead or alive. Like they didn't even have access to that information, whether something was dead or alive, which that seems kind of like the bare minimum, right?
Yeah, it's kind of helpful. I think the one thing, and this is where Blizzard really kind of failed on this, is that they said, okay, we're gonna really affect add-ons, and then they didn't really say how they're gonna do that, and so all the information we're getting was from add-on developers who were just reacting to their stuff, not like they just couldn't do anything, and they're like, and you made all the auras private, and you made all this back stuff private, so we can't actually do anything. And I think it was helpful afterwards where Blizzard was like, okay, so we went full like hard over, turned everything off, and now we're slowly walking it back to see where the sweet spot is. You could have just said that to begin with, right? Like, okay, we're going to do this, see, and then we're going to walk it back. Keep doing your thing, keep giving us feedback, but this is the intent, like to find that sweet spot. Instead, they didn't communicate it at all. And then all of a sudden we have these, like a major add-on, like, Deadly Boss mods or even weak auras. And then I think LVUI was also like, we're done, we can't. When really it was like, no, just keep doing your thing. Tell us where it's broken. Tell us what you need. And then we'll maybe find the sweet spot. Obviously, the final answer being, we're not going to let you simplify every single part of the game with your add-ons so that a person doesn't have to make calculated decision making. Right?
Can I give a metaphor?
Sure.
Explain. Yeah. It's like expecting a painter to paint a painting in a pitch black room. It's like, well, yeah. Maybe he can pick up the brushes. He can dip the brush into the paint. The paint. Maybe he doesn't know what. Maybe it's not going to be the correct color, but that's basically how these add-on developers are having to work right now. It's like they're kind of working in the dark. They're making something, but they don't know what's going to come out on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't know if and when the canvas is going to disappear while they're trying to paint, or if it's going to get larger or smaller, or that's hard. It is hard. Complete kudos to anybody that does add-on development. There was a great one. I saw it posted in Reddit. There's some person some programmer decided that they were going to redo basically S Arena and mix it with like a whole bunch of other stuff, but instead of like leaning and just copy and paste it, apparently they built it completely from the ground up, very customizable. And they just launched. They're like, okay, I'm getting this out here because if I don't, it's never going to get out there because I'm a perfectionist. And yes, I understand that it's going to be probably dead in 3 months, but here you go. It's like, yeah. But apparently they've been working on it for like years. And so they just finally were like, okay, I got to get this out here because otherwise nothing's going to happen. And it looks really good. It looks really good. Yeah. I got to ask, right before we close it out, the skill cap add-on, ultimately it's an add-on that configures your UI and a bunch of add-ons. Is it nail in the coffin, or is there some way that it's going to survive?
No, it's definitely still going to be there because all the new cooldown tracking and buff tracking and nameplate stuff that Blizzard is implementing does take a little bit of time to actually set up.
It does.
And there's a lot of stuff you don't need to be tracking. with the new cooldown tracker. So we're probably going to, set that up for every single spec. Again, we don't really know what else is going to be allowed and not allowed. So, don't know what's happening with Omnibar. I mean, that sounds like it's probably going to be dead. But then, I mean, we have our talent import feature where you just can click a button and you automatically get a build. That's not reliant on any combat add-ons. Neither is like the BIS list. So I think, I mean, we're definitely still going to have an add-on. It's just going to, we don't know exactly what's going to be in there, but it'll definitely still be the same functionality, same idea. So it's pretty cool.
No, it is. Well, I'm going to skip the one thing we changed because we're really kind of up on the time wall here. I do want to use this moment to once again remind everybody that we're doing the Epic Midnight Code. And it's not region locked as far as we understand. So it can, if you're listening from EU, if you're listening from NA, if you're listening from Oceanics, it should work. So come on over to our Discord, find the thread in our show channel and do the thing. And please. Oh, for some reason that doubled up. I'll do that just once. Okay. And then shout outs. Do you have any shout outs there, Big?
I wasn't prepared for this.
So you're shouting out Illidan.
Wait, I know who I'm going to shout out. I'm going to shout out Bikmex, who just completed a 2400 challenge with no add-ons, full honor gear, and no macros. So the ultimate 2400 challenge. And he experienced a lot of difficulty along the way. Obviously, not using macros is a big deal. What he said, by the way, is the number one thing that he thought was the most impactful is having no gear. That was by far the most impactful thing he did. So that's maybe something that Blizzard could learn. I made a post. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I made a post a while back saying that the eye level discrepancy between honor gear and conquest gear is too high. And people called me an idiot, but I still think that's true. I think it's a ridiculous disadvantage to be in full honor gear when you're up against full conquest gear people in the middle of the season, Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, shout out to Big Mix.
All right. I'm going to shout out a person, if anybody, if anybody follows the RBG community, you probably have heard of this person, Sunny Gupta. Dr. Sunny Gupta. He lives in India, huge lover of rated battlegrounds, and has been very vocal on X. And he actually came over and gave a small, I'll say dissertation, but it's not that long. But it was a very well thought out post when we were asking for what's the things people would change about PvP or upcoming expansions. And I just want to shout out to him because he didn't have to. He didn't have to spend as much time writing out his thoughts, but he did. And kudos to him. He's very passionate about what has happened to the RPG community, and he'd love to see some changes to kind of help invigorate it and bring back some of the people that were stolen by the solo queue. But anyway, shout out to him. I think that's about it, buddy. That's a wrap. Do you want to do the thing?
Yes, I'll do the thing. I'm going to tell the audience now where you can find us. So you can contact us directly on X at technically_PvP or on Blue Sky at technicallypvp.bluesky.social or even by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on the Bonus Roll Productions Discord.
Indeed, which is the same Discord link that I've been spamming. You can also visit the Bonus Roll website to find the podcast directory with us and many other great shows over at www.bonusroll.gg. And don't forget the directory has a review system, so you can head on over there and tell people what you think of your favorite shows. And you can also do the same thing in a lot of other apps and locations. And I highly recommend, give some stars, give some reviews, give some comments, tell people what you think of their shows, because as content creators, it's so appreciated. Anyway, that's it for us. I'm going to drop some links into the show notes, and I want to thank everybody for listening, and we'll chat with you next time. Good night, everybody. Oh, click there.